So, how should you start the transition phase, and what are things to think about? Well, when you want to start it, that's a good question. You may want to start the transition phase the second that you think that you might want to re-enlist, because you never know what can happen once you start thinking about re-enlistment. Things to think about whenever you are thinking about re-enlistment could be, are you going to be able to re-enlist? Because we all know the Marine Corps is getting smaller, as well as all the other branches, so will you be able to re-enlist? That's key. Next thing, what if you can't re-enlist? So let's say you know that you can re-enlist, or you think you know you can re-enlist. You're going to re-enlist in that job that you're already in. Well, what happens if the boat spaces in that job don't allow you to stay in your job? So now you have to think about changing jobs, going to do something different. Well, what if you don't have the scores or the qualifications for that job, or they don't need any more people for those jobs either? Then what? So once again, once you start thinking about re-enlistment, that's when you want to actually start thinking about maybe what happens if I can't stay in the Marine Corps. Then that's when you want to go ahead and start your transition phase. All right. So what else to think about? Key thing to think about is also when you are doing your transition phase, you want to make sure to think about education and work. Those are probably two key things that you want to think about, because, well, for one, the military is going to pay as long as you get out honorably. The military is going to pay for you to go to school with the Montgomery GI Bill. So you have that in your back pocket as well if you're interested in school. And they're going to pay you pretty much to go to school, because you're going to get basic housing allowance, which regardless of what rank you are when you get out, you're going to get the sergeant's rate. So depending on what state your school is in, I mean, it could be beneficial, it could hurt you, who knows. But for the most part, you're getting paid to go to school. Work. If you're not going to school, that's something else to think about, because we all know the economy in this country is very low. So those are things to think about, especially if you are planning on getting out, or you think there's a chance of you getting out. Alright? Okay, so today I've talked to you about the steps that are needed to begin your transition, such as knowing what you want to do when you get out, and discussion options with the VA. Alright? I also talked about how soon you should start your transition back to the civilian life. Yes, it can be a little scary at times just to think about it. Hey, I don't have that structure. I'm not going to have that structure anymore, or the case may be. But at the same time, you can do it. So therefore, you will not end up like any of the homeless people that we see on the side of the road whenever we're driving to wherever we go. That concludes my presentation.